And if you demo here, we have the best prices in town. Just saying.
That's true too.
So, just wrapping up the do-it-yourself, just to go over everything. You need to make sure that you can send in material that is solicited.
Mm-hmm.
The way that you do that is by building relationships. How do you find these people to build relationships with? Through events. Events can be anything in Nashville, which is #1 parties, going to Writers' Nights. We have events here every month that are called, it's called the Writers Roundtable event, where we bring in a record label person, a hit producer, a hit songwriter, publishers, song pluggers, that you can sit in the room with, have dinner with, and meet them. You can also participate online through them. Mm-hmm. And I know that people think, well, if you're online, you're not really getting that networking aspect. We have people that have never been here, that some of our, like Steve Block, he'll remember your name.
Oh yeah, he does.
You know, and that's another way that they're learning who you are, and they're learning who you are by your music, which is the best way.
Exactly.
So events, make sure that you are a member of NSAI, that you have a taxi membership, that you are associated with a performing rights organization. That's one thing we haven't really talked about, and we'll just touch on it really quick.
Yeah.
Your performing rights organization for the U.S., that's going to be CSAT, ASCAP, and BMI. If you're in Canada, it's SOCAN. If you're in the UK, it's going to be your PRS.
Right.
And you can look all that up if you're in different countries. You have a writer's representative that is assigned to you when you associate yourself with the PRO. That writer's representative, their job is to listen to your music and to help encourage your career. If they think that, you can get a meeting with them, you can send them your material, and they will, if they feel like you're ready, they'll make calls on your behalf.
They will.
Ralph Murphy was my very, very, very first point of contact aside from NSAI when I got here. And he picked up the phone and got me publisher meetings when I was here.
I've said this before. When I was at Evergreen Copyrights, I signed a writer-artist that Ralph Murphy picked up the phone and called me one afternoon and said, "You really need to see this girl. She's great."
Mm-hmm.
I had her come over that afternoon and play for me live. A week later, I had her play for some of the brass at Evergreen Copyrights, and we signed her.
Heather Davis.
Heather Davis.
Heather Davis. She also was an NSAI member. That's how I first met her. And now she sings demos here. So.
Right.
Going back to relationships. So there's many ways to get to know people on the road, and you should exhaust all of your options in doing that. Contact. Make sure your first point of contact is not invasive. That you're not, an email, 2 sentences, really quick. Nice to meet you. Would love to play you some stuff. Whatever. Really simple. Keep it simple.
And that's it.
That's it.
Do not do it the next day and the next day and the next day.
No, just once. If they don't email you back, move on to your next contact. Etiquette. We went over that.
Mm-hmm.
You can rewind the tape to go over that. There's a lot that we covered there. Follow up. Wait a week after you've met with them, or sometimes they'll say send me an MP3. By the way, just going back to email, do not email someone and attach a song without permission.
Oh, no. Definitely
don't do
not.
it. Don't put links to songs. Do not ask them to listen to any songs when you first make contact with them. Don't do it. And then follow up, after you have your meeting. Thank you very much for your time. Be very gracious. And I think that wraps it up for that's basically do it yourself.
Right.
That's kind of the path you got to take.
That's exactly right.
So now I want to talk about other ways that you could get your songs cut on Music Row. The second way, aside from doing it yourself, is to be a staff writer with a publishing deal.
Publishing company.
A lot of people are very confused about this. I get emails all the time going, well, I want to pitch a song to a publisher. You don't pitch a song to a publisher. You pitch a song to a label or an artist. Publishers are out there pitching songs for their writers. So, and Chip knows a lot more about publishing deals than I do, so I'm going to ask him, what is a publishing deal? For a staff writer, what is it?
Well, there's all different aspects to it, but basically, when a publisher recognizes a writer's talent and they feel like that they can make money, they want to put that writer under contract.
Mm-hmm.
The normal length of a publishing deal is 3 years.
Mm-hmm.
But the publisher has the option after the first year and the second year as to whether or not they want to keep the writer. Sometimes if it's not going well that first year,
Mm-hmm.
the publisher will exercise their option at the end of that first year and just say, we don't want to carry on with this agreement.
Right.
And they have the right at that point contractually to opt out of the contract. Along with a publishing contract, many times a writer will have what's called a draw that goes along with that. That is an advance to the writer against their future earnings.
Mm-hmm.
For new writers now, that's normally anywhere from between $12,000 to $18,000 a year.
Mm-hmm.
It's not very much, and it's certainly not what it was 10 or 15 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
But even for even for writers who have had quite a bit of success, those high numbers of what draws or advances used to be, they're not nearly as high anymore.
And that's recoupable money, correct?
That is recoupable money. That's money that a writer is paid against their future earnings.
Right.
Meaning that meaning that if they're advanced 20 grand a year,
Mm-hmm.
3 years later, if they haven't had any cuts, they're at least 20 grand in the hole. I mean, they're at least 60 grand in the hole.
Right.
But also along with a publishing deal, there is a demo budget that goes along with it. And normally, contractually, a demo budget will, the publisher and the writer will split the costs.
Mm-hmm.
If a session winds up costing $5,000, the writer will owe $2,500, or
Right.
that will go against that writer's future earnings, like the draw.
Right. So the whole time this writer's writing for the publisher, before a cut is made, before a song, they get a song cut, they're basically racking up in the red.
They're racking up in the red on a daily basis.
Right.
Yeah.
For demos, for whatever their
Their
draw
draw,
is going
their
to be,
advance.
and that publisher's keeping tally.
Exactly.
So when a song does get cut, that money is first paid back to the publisher. Of the publishing
the mechanical, and a mechanical right is anything tangible, a CD, sheet music.
Mm-hmm.
I think downloads are maybe
mechanical.
considered mechanicals now. But any earnings that come from those mechanicals go against paying back the publishing portion of that, goes against paying back that hole that the writer has drilled with their advances, with their demo budgets. There are contracts now, in fact, most publishers now will also ask for 50% of the airplay on a song, until the performances on it, until that writer is recouped.
Right.
Because the mechanicals, the CD sales are down so far because of the downloading, and the downloading does not pay nearly what a CD sale would pay per cut.
Right.
And because the CD sales are down so far, the publishers, to protect themselves, have to many times feel like they have to have some of that writer's airplay to be able to know or feel a lot better about recouping their investment.
Right. And I think it's important when you explain it like that, as writers, we tend not to think about things on the other side of the desk. We're like, well, my songs are great. Why won't the publisher sign me to a staff deal? Well, when I hear you explain it like that, it immediately makes me think of it's an investment. You're asking
Totally.
someone, invest in me as a business, and you may or may not make your money back.
That's right.
So there's definitely a risk of loss for that publisher.
That's exactly
Because
right.
when the contract, say you're on for 3 years and the publisher doesn't renew after 3 years because there's no income being generated from that writer.
Right.
That writer doesn't have to write a check for what they owe. That's
No.
just the loss that the publisher takes.
No, it's the publisher's loss. But I will tell you that when that writer leaves a publisher and goes to the next publisher trying to get a deal, one of the questions that next publisher is going to ask is, did you recoup your other deal?
Right.
They want to know. They want to know if you came away from that first publishing deal or second, whatever it was. They want to know if you came away from that in the black, because they want to know what they're getting into.
Right.
You know, by that time, you know, when they're starting to discuss about being signed or possibly signing, they're also going to have a handle on how many songs you write,
Right.
how many songs you turn in a week, how many songs you turn in a month. They're going to know who your co-writers are. They're going to know if you've written with any artists. They're also going to know what you as a writer expect out of them. You know, do you expect us to, for example, line you up to co-write with Sugarland? Do you expect me as a publisher to line you up and try to get you in the Brad Paisley camp? You know, what are the expectations and how realistic are those expectations?
To see if it's going to be a good working relationship.
To see if it's going to, yeah, right. Because it is an investment.
Absolutely.
And no publisher, believe me, likes to go through 3 years with a writer and have that writer be 80 or 100 grand in the hole with nothing in that pipeline coming in that's going to pay off some of that debt.
Right.
Which is why now publishers more than ever are looking at writers really hard at that first year option and that second year option.
Right.
What's in the pipeline? What's what's out there that potentially is earnings to for us to recoup this writer and to make us money.
Right. Now,
Because in the end, even though music is art,
it's business.
it's business.